My turn. I think
Hey,
you
yeah,
can
we're on
drop off the
stage.
stage. um, I think I'm going to do a deeper dive on this on Monday, but I was a little too excited to show this and wait until Monday. So I think Monday maybe I'll actually like do sort of like under the hoods explanation about what we're doing with the Vis pipeline. But for a couple months now, we've been capturing data um, about our Viz and this sort of refactor that's been ongoing. Um, and what we've done is we've basically sampled whenever there are incompatible configs that we see that the new pipeline doesn't support. So all this data is basically um, dropped into Rudder Stack and then dropped into Omni. And the interesting thing is because we sampled it, like there's sort of a ceiling around how many events we're going to capture every week, approximately, and that's just based on usage. And you can see like it's sort of stayed static. This chart is events over time, broken out by event types, um, and then all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks, it sort of fell off a cliff. And that's really cool because that basically means that we've reached a threshold where so much of the viz in our user space are compatible that it's actually coming in under the threshold or under the sampling ceiling. Um, so I'll talk about this a little bit more on Monday in detail, but just that seeing that pattern's awesome. And then the other interesting thing here in this chart, very similar chart, but the main difference is you can see this orange or yellowish line is a count of other errors where these other broken out errors are sort of like the large grain buckets that we know have the highest usage. And it's kind of interesting to see that it started negative. And part of the reason it started negative is because the count of these errors like when we register an error, it can have multiple errors. Like it can have an error in the color setting of a chart and the mark setting of a chart. And by error, what I mean is not like these are errors that customers are seeing. It's just front end or the new Viz pipeline is not compatible, so we fall back to the old pipeline. um and so that's why there's this that's why other is negative here. And then all of a sudden, correlating with this big drop off, we see it go positive, which basically I'm interpreting as again, we've hit this threshold where we've hit all the major buckets of compatibility, like the highest usage parts of our chart. And so now we're starting to see the long tail, like this other bucket of charts that are incompatible, um, pop up. Anyhow, I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth on Monday and maybe even show like some code snippets and stuff. But yeah, super exciting. And then obviously unlocks the stuff that Rob was demoing. And he said not to get excited, but I think everyone should get excited. So